All right, everyone, buckle up because today we're doing a deep dive on a topic that might make some people shift a little uncomfortably in their seats.
Yeah.
We're talking about the prostate. Yeah, that often whispered about gland that, let's be honest, most guys probably couldn't point to on a diagram. But trust me, this is going to be fascinating.
Oh, absolutely. It's a small gland with a big reputation, and we're about to uncover some surprising facts about its role in not just, the birds and the bees, but also your overall health and well-being as a man.
Exactly. And to guide us on this journey, we're tapping into some cutting edge research that takes a deep dive into the science of this often overlooked part of the male anatomy. So let's start with the basics for anyone who might not be entirely sure what the prostate actually does.
Well, most people know it's involved in, the whole baby-making process. It produces seminal fluid, which is essential for transporting and nourishing sperm.
Okay, so far so good. But you're implying there's a lot more to it than that.
Oh, absolutely. This little gland, which is often compared in size to a walnut, can have a huge impact on a man's life, especially as he gets older.
We're talking beyond just reproduction here.
Absolutely. The prostate can be a factor in some health issues men may face as they age. For example, benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH, is a condition where the prostate enlarges. It can lead to some uncomfortable urinary problems.
Right, I've definitely heard of that.
And then, of course, there's prostate cancer, a serious concern for many men.
Okay, so understanding the prostate is important for men's health as they get older, especially for those who might be listening with older brothers, fathers, or grandfathers. Got it. But our research also hints at a more, shall we say, enjoyable side to this gland. Apparently, it's also a key player when it comes to experiencing pleasure.
That's right. And the reason for this has everything to do with its anatomy. You see, the prostate is located right in front of the rectum, and it's surrounded by this incredibly dense network of nerve endings.
So we're talking about a very sensitive area, but how does this translate into actual pleasure? What makes prostate stimulation different from what men typically experience?
Well, one of the key differences is the type of nerve fibers that are stimulated. The prostate is primarily innervated by what are called C fibers. They transmit slower, lingering sensations, quite different from the more immediate A fibers found in the penis, which is what most men are familiar with.
So different types of nerve fibers, different types of sensations. That makes sense. But our source uses some pretty strong words to describe prostate orgasms, like intense, prolonged, even full body. What's going on there?
It all comes down to those C fibers and how they transmit sensation.
Oh.
Because they're slower, the feeling in the prostate, it kind of builds gradually, and it creates this wave of pleasure that washes over you. Intense, almost hypnotic. And then when it releases, it's not a quick burst like a typical orgasm. It's just a prolonged, almost euphoric experience that many men describe as feeling, well, full body.
So it's not just about the intensity then, it's a different quality of sensation.
Exactly. Imagine the difference between listening to, like, a catchy pop song with a driving beat and a symphony that builds to a powerful crescendo. They're both enjoyable in their own way, for sure. But the symphony just engages your senses on a whole other level.
That's a great analogy. So we're talking about a potentially much more powerful and nuanced experience than what most men are used to. But before we get into the specifics of, how to actually access these sensations, I'm curious about something you mentioned earlier, multi-orgasmic. How is a prostate orgasm different from a regular orgasm in that sense?
Yeah, that's a question we get a lot. You see, the prostate doesn't have the same refractory period as the penis, meaning it doesn't need that same cool down time between orgasms. This opens up the possibility for men to experience multiple orgasms in a single session, which, as you can imagine, can be incredibly intense and satisfying.
Okay, that definitely explains the intense and satisfying part. So let's talk about how to actually tap into this potential. Our research mentions two main approaches to prostate stimulation: internal and external.
Right, so internal stimulation that usually involves using a finger or a specifically designed prostate massager. It's inserted into the rectum to directly stimulate the prostate gland.
Okay.
External stimulation, on the other hand, focuses on the perineum, that area of the skin between the scrotum and the anus. You can think of it like the prostate's back door, so to speak.
I'm starting to see why they call it the male G-spot.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, even talking about this feels a little taboo. Is it actually common for men to explore prostate stimulation?
It's more common than you might think. But unfortunately, there's still a lot of stigma surrounding it and misinformation, frankly. For some reason, people tend to wrongly associate prostate stimulation with sexual orientation, which is completely unfounded.
Right.
The prostate is a part of male anatomy, plain and simple. And any man, regardless of his sexual orientation, can potentially experience pleasure from prostate stimulation.
It's like saying only certain people are allowed to enjoy chocolate or something.
Exactly. And what's even more interesting is that research suggests there might be actual health benefits to regular prostate stimulation as well.
Wait, really? I thought we were done with the health stuff.
Nope. This is where things get even more interesting, you could say. Remember those issues we talked about earlier? BPH, prostatitis? Well, some studies actually suggest that regular prostate stimulation can be helpful for those conditions as well.
Seriously. We're talking about turning potential problems into, well, potential pleasure.
It might seem a little counterintuitive, I know, but think of it this way. The prostate, it's like any other part of your body. It benefits from regular exercise and blood flow.
So giving your prostate a workout. Literally.
You could say that, yeah.
Right.
When you stimulate the prostate regularly, it increases blood flow to the pelvic region. And that can help flush out toxins, reduce inflammation, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
There's even research suggesting it might improve urinary flow. And you know how some men, especially as they get older, have to make those nighttime bathroom trips?
Yeah.
Some studies show it could even help reduce those for men dealing with BPH.
Wow, that's impressive. But, okay, let's get practical here. For someone listening who's thinking, all right, this all sounds pretty intriguing, but where do I even begin? What advice would you give them?
I think the most important thing is to approach this with an open mind and to really prioritize comfort and safety above all else. If you're exploring with a partner, open communication is key.
Makes sense.
Talk to each other, figure out what feels good, what doesn't.
And I imagine lubricant is pretty crucial in this scenario.
Absolutely. Using a good quality lubricant is essential for both comfort and safety, especially for internal stimulation.
What about those prostate massagers you mentioned earlier? Are those a good option for people to try?
They can be, yeah. But like with anything else, it's important to do your research first. Make sure you choose a prostate massager that's made from, body-safe materials. And read the reviews. See what other people are saying. There are plenty of reputable brands out there.
So just to recap here, we're talking about breaking down taboos, prioritizing pleasure, and potentially improving our health. And all thanks to this one little gland that, let's be honest, most of us probably couldn't even point to on a diagram.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it? It just goes to show the prostate is a perfect example of how much we still have to learn about our own bodies. Wow. And how, sometimes those deeply ingrained societal norms, they can actually hold us back from some truly fascinating discoveries.
It really makes you wonder what other hidden potentials we might be overlooking in life,
Exactly. Sometimes the most rewarding journeys, the most fulfilling experiences, they come from challenging our assumptions and embracing curiosity.
That feels like the perfect note to end on. This deep dive has given us a lot to think about, and maybe even try out, Always with safety and pleasure in mind, of course. Until next time, everyone, keep exploring and stay curious.